Hello and welcome to Pick Gaming's Halo 2 LASO co-op guide. Right off the bat, you want to go on the Covenant genocide and kill off all your allies. Not a single one can survive. Not only will you get 2 layers of overshield thanks to the Black Eye Scar, it also stops them from messing up the first part of the mission. In fact, this bit was recorded after our original run because we had the bright idea of bringing all our allies with us and fighting the enemies inside together, which was not a great plan at all and made us take half an hour to reach the next area. So we decided to record the beginning of the mission again with this strategy, which is, as you will see, a lot faster and simpler. When the door opens, cloak and jump on the box-like thing in the middle, then jump to the top platform. The invisibility lasts for about 5 seconds, so it might take some damage, but you should get through with the double overshield. After that, hide behind one of these structures and wait for the cloak to come back up. It should make this sound. Now, both of you can cloak again and drop down to the bottom. This place is usually teeming with heretic grunts and elites, but thanks to the skip, they don't spawn, except for 2 elites, who appear as soon as you step into the elevator area. They spawn behind, so you need to be careful, but you can easily close the distance and get back some of your shields. They drop Covenant Carbine when they die, which is very useful for the grunts and sentinels later on, so pick that up. However, you want to hold onto your sword because there will be some box pushing in the next area. After dealing with the elites, push 2 of these boxes, or whatever they are, into the elevator, and when you're ready, press the button outside. Crouch behind the boxes to avoid getting hit while the elevator goes down. When you reach the bottom, immediately cloak and hide behind a pillar on the left. If there is an elite patrolling nearby, you want to assassinate him, and if not, you can jump to the platform on top. Sometimes you get spotted by sentinels, so you have to kill them first. However, I neglected to pick up a carbine in the previous room, so all I can do is struggle to get up to the platform while Bob deals with the sentinels. Don't follow how I jumped up to the platform, but follow what Bob does here, which is jump onto a ledge of the pillar before jumping up again. Next, walk towards the wall and hold down the forward key to keep moving into it. While doing that, go all the way to the right side until you hit another wall, upon which you move back to the left. In Halo 2, enemies see you by looking at your head, but by constantly moving to the wall, your head is actually phasing through it. To the enemies below, you're just 2 headless bodies. Nothing suspicious at all. So, why head to the right? This pushes all the enemies to the right side of the room, which makes it easier to kill them. Also, this stops enemy reinforcements from spawning in, so you only have 2 elites and 4 grunts to deal with. When you're back to the original side of the room, kill off any sentinels still flying around, then pick off the grunts with the carbine. There should be some plasma pistols scattered around the room, so pick one up when you're done with the grunts. Next, we have the 2 elites to deal with. It is not easy to close the distance in such an open room, so you want to hit them from a distance. Thankfully, they just strafe around the back, so you can throw plasma pistol charge shots in their general direction, and you're bound to hit them. Unlike regular elites, heretic elites have only 1 layer of shield and can be taken down with a carbine headshot after 1 plasma pistol charge shot. I lost some of my shields stupidly trying to charge them earlier, so Bob distracts the elite while I cloak and assassinate him to restore my shields. Do not press the button after you have finished killing the enemies because there is some preparation to be done. Here, we'll switch back to footage of the original run. Once you press the button, the hangar doors will open and enemies will spawn from 4 out of 5 possible doors. They can be quite annoying to clear, so you want to use boxes to block off these doors. You can use the boxes from the elevator, and there should be a few similar boxes scattered around the area. Use your sword to push the boxes, though you need to be careful not to get splattered by them. You can use your secondary weapon to fine-tune the box position, and you want it to be something like this. Now I'll skip ahead because it takes quite some time to set up even with 2 players, especially when you have to push boxes up the ramp to the 2nd level. Anyway, after I'm done positioning this box, I'll do a quick tour of the room to show where I place the boxes. Starting from the inner right side of the room, we have this door, which is the 2nd door from the inner end, as well as the door immediately to the right. On to the left side of the room, we also have the second and third doors from the inner end. The doors from both sides of the room face each other, so it should be fairly easy to remember. Finally, the door on the bottom floor is right in the middle below the elevator. This one's a little special because the box needs to be completely upright. That is where we need to go, and having the box upright like that stops the enemies inside from shooting out, but you can still shoot at them from outside. Once you're done setting up the boxes, you can press the button to open the hangar doors. After that, immediately head outside and hide to the left or right of the doors, then wait for an allied phantom to fly in. There is some force pushing you back into the building, but keep staying outside. Wait for the sentinels that spawn inside the hangar to target the phantom, and that is when you can start shooting at them. The phantom also drops off some allied elites and grunts, so try to keep them alive as they can be used to fill up on shields. Go back into the hangar when all the sentinels are down. Here I'll skip a hit because we decided to kill all the enemies that were blocked off by the boxes for their fuel rod ammo so you can get our very own fuel rod grunt, but the fuel rod grunt strategy didn't work out very well and was just completely unnecessary. Anyway, head to the blocked off door on the ground floor and kill the two elites that are behind the box. You can use a plasma pistol through the gap to whittle down their shields, then finish them off with a headshot. Alternatively, you can stick them with a plasma grenade, but that is more risky as it could blow the box away. When you've killed those two elites, you can push the box away and you'll see two grunts come out from behind the box. Do not kill those grunts until they set up the turrets, because those turrets are in the wrong direction and they are completely harmless. That's 4 free layers of shields with the black eye skull. After that, go through the door and into what is essentially a long hallway. There are some enemies past the first corner, and what I like to do is cloak to sneak behind the heretic elite and assassinate him, though he manages to immediately kill off the fuel rod grunt that he spends so much time and effort for. Unlucky. There isn't really much of a strategy for this section. Just kill enemies wherever you see them, grunts before elites because they are a lot easier to kill, and avoid taking damage as much as possible, though you can hit back up to the enemy grunts in the hangar for shields if you ever drop too low. As I mentioned earlier, heretic elites have only 1 layer of shield, so you can use the good old noob combo for them. But since the assassin skull is on, they are invisible and the plasma pistol charge shot does not track. So you should wait for them to stand still and target someone while the other player fires off the plasma pistol charge shot at them. Another way is to stick them, which is a lot easier said than done, but if you manage to do it, there is a high chance that they will go berserk. That sounds quite scary, but they actually hold no weapons while they are in that state, and they will just try to hit you with nothing. So that's an easy way to get back your shields. There aren't a whole lot of enemies in this section, so it should be fairly straightforward. Once you have dealt with all of them, head down to the door at the end of the ramp. You'll see some grunts patrolling around, so pick them off with the carbine and make sure you kill every one of them. There are a couple of elites on top of the ramp on the left, but they don't charge, so you can take your time with the grunts. It is good to be methodical here because those grunts can be a nuisance later on when you deal with the elites. Moving on to the elites, it is quite difficult to fight them from long range because there is not much cover and they have the high ground. So we'll do something a little special. We cloak while running up the ramp, then try to assassinate them. Even if that doesn't work, you can just slap them around with a Sputnik skull and eventually get the back smacks with good teamwork. Now look at the other end of the room. There should be a heretic elite and a couple of grunts over there. Try to kill them all, but do not step past the blue conveyor belt line in the middle, because that is when more enemies will spawn. The elite might be a little more difficult since he's so far away, but you can spam plasma pistol charge shots in his direction and one might eventually hit, or you can try to stick him with a plasma grenade. Those are not very consistent methods, so you can also wait for allied reinforcements to arrive. When that happens, you can cross the conveyor belt to spawn in the enemies. However, they are invisible due to the assassin scout and your allies cannot see them, so you have to damage those enemies to make their invisibility fail. Only then will your allies chip in, and they do a really good job of it. Do note that some grunt reinforcements will come in through the door at the end, so deal with them quickly when they appear. This room is really quite easy to clear with the allied firepower, and once you're done, go to the end of the room to get a checkpoint. You can even equip the elite with a better weapon like the fuel rod from earlier, which is exactly what we do. Go through the door for another downward sloped hallway section. Like the previous one, there isn't really a strategy beyond killing enemies when you see them and targeting grunts before elites. We aren't our allied elite with a fuel rod, but from experience he doesn't seem to take cover very well, so you could kill him for shields if necessary before he gets blown up by the heretics. As expected, the elite died really quickly, so we decided to arm the grunt with a fuel rod, and then he says this.
Yes, master! Give me precious! My precious!
Unfortunately, he didn't want to follow us down the slope, so we had to put him down. That part is cut out because it definitely can't be shown on YouTube. Anyway, head down to the next set of enemies. As I mentioned earlier, heretic elites are perfectly harmless when they berserk, and this one is a prime example. He's holding nothing, so you can easily beat him down for shields. Now we continue down the slope. I like to crouch and uncrouch to kill grunts while I have the higher ground because I believe that helps to avoid some hits and minimize damage taken. Also, remember to cloak, as this is a good way to reposition without enemies noticing or even to assassinate them. There aren't any crazy grenade jumps in this level, so you don't strictly need the shield, but take every opportunity to get at least one layer of overshoot for the next section because the start of it can be quite difficult. There is one checkpoint at the part with the golem grunt, but if I'm not mistaken, there are no more checkpoints until the end of this hallway, so you need to be very careful when turning the corners. Sometimes the angles are not very ideal and it can be difficult to kill a heretic elite without taking substantial damage, but these enemies usually don't push past a certain point so you can easily retreat. When they lose sight of you, they can sometimes get confused and stand in the corner, which gives you the opportunity to cloak in and assassinate them. This is the end of the downward slope hallway where you will get a checkpoint. Behind the door at the end are a few heretic elites and sentinels, but you don't have many good angles to hit them from the doorway. Stay on both sides of the door and constantly peek out to damage them. Prioritize shooting the sentinels as the damage on them will stick compared to elites whose shields will regenerate. You can also try to get a stick on an elite, which is the perfect scenario as they will berserk, charge out and deliver you a free layer of shields. As you can see, it is really difficult to kill off the sentinels as they can fly out of your field of vision and fly back into range when you least expect it. However, when they do fly away and there are no more other enemies in front, step into a room while cloaked, then step back out. Doing so will trigger an allied elite and grunt to spawn, and they make the job of taking down the sentinels much easier. With the sentinels down, you can go into the room, but cloak while doing so as there could be some enemies on the blind spot to the left. There should be some grunts, so take them out quickly, then work with the allies to kill off the elites. As usual, you need to damage them a little so that they can be seen and fired upon. Once you're in the room, clearing it isn't that difficult as there are quite a few pillars and boxes to take cover behind. There is also a second level to the room, and I recommend having at least one player being up there as it provides a good vantage point to snipe down grunts and stick elites.
I heard that over here.
Do watch out for an elite on the far end of the room on the second level, as it is a good position and you will get sniped down if you are on the ground floor. However, if you are on the second level yourself, it is a lot easier to sneak up to him and either get a few plasma grenades in, or to cloak and assassinate him. When the room is clear, stock up on ammo and grenades, and kill off the allied grunt and elite for shields if they are still alive, because from experience, they are completely useless in the next room. When you are ready, hit to the door on the right and you will get a checkpoint. You will need it because this room is especially annoying to clear. Though there are only 2 elites and a few grunts, the elites are positioned between you and the grunts, so unlike the previous rooms, you can't really prioritize killing the grunts. Instead, I believe a good strategy is to get the elites to charge ahead so that they don't receive covering fire from the grunts, and the best way to achieve that is to stick them. Well, that's a lot easier said than done, but there should be a handful of plasma grenades in the previous room so you can keep trying. It helps if you cloak so that it is harder for them to dodge out of the way. After the elites are down, you can then focus on the grunts. In our run, we somehow managed to despawn one elite, but that doesn't happen consistently. Anyway, hit to the open door and there will be a cutscene. After that, some grunts and elites will come into the room from the door on the second floor, so deal with them normally. If you are low on shields, you can stand at the ground floor doorway as it is generally a lot safer there, and you still have an angle on enemies. Usually there will be at least one elite poking his head out of the second floor doorway, but both of them seem to be hiding, so we go to the second floor to hunt them down. Here, there are only 2 heretic elites and no grunts, so it should be a trivial matter to take them down. You can even use this opportunity to regain some shields if you don't want to risk it in the next section. Once you've killed the elites, hit down the ramp, get outside and into the banshees. As Fallen Flight starts playing, fly towards the building on the right because that is where we need to go to end the mission. You can shoot some enemy banshees if they come too close, but they are mainly focused on the ally phantom. As the banshee flies towards our goal, I would like to put in a shameless plug. I've played this song on the piano and I think it turned out really well, so please check it out on my main channel. I'll leave a link on the side and in the description.
Clear that landing zone and get inside.
Here we are at our destination. You can clear the landing zone if you want, especially since shooting things up with a banshee is really fun, which is what we actually try to do in this run, but it is completely unnecessary. Just land on the roof to the left, jump down while cloaked, then go into the open door. As anticlimactic as it is, that is the end of the mission. And with it is the end of the video. Please leave a like if you found it helpful, and do give some comments so I can improve on these guides. I hope to see you in the next video where we take on Mission 5, the Oracle.